The land, the animals, and the people. Welcome to the Wolf Connection Podcast.
John Potter,
Dude,
how are you?
I'm really good. How are you doing?
Boy, what a 3 days you've had. You and Tracy, my goodness.
Yeah, it's been transformational. It's been unbelievable. It's been empowering, illuminating. It's also, expanded our consciousness quite a bit, and expanded our awareness of, who our wolf relatives are. I came into this thinking, yeah, I know quite a bit, but then, here I am learning more all the time.
I mean, what have you learned? Just from from our pack, our wolf pack in general.
In general, what I think I've learned from them is what I think I see in the kids that have been transformed as well. Just in the few days that we've been here, and in a few hours, you can see a change in the kids that come here. Some of them walk into this whole situation with rocks in their heart, that they've been carrying for a long time. And by the time they're done with their moments here with the wolves, it's like they're wholly different people. They're lightweight. They're light on their feet. They're light in their hearts. And it's just a joy to see. Some of them come in, with all this judgment weighing them down and stuff, trying to match the expectations of society and their friends and their peers and maybe even their parents. And they come away basically as, from what I've seen in my observation, they're like new human beings. They've been renewed and remade, if you will. It's been really cool to see.
We talked about that, you, me, Tracy, a bunch of the staff, about that self-worth, about that renewal. Why is that so important? Just to realize that. Because you guys have seen that, I'm sure, a lot over the course of your time. But to see that transformation in 3 days, what's that?
Well, back in the day, when kids were being raised up, from childhood into coming of age, there were ceremonies along the way all the time. There are ceremonies to mark their passage from one stage of life to another. And the whole community joined in. Everybody supported their movement forward in the circle of life. Today, by and large, we don't have that thing in our society. I mean, there's just very few instances that I know of where, a whole village will come together to celebrate one individual's passage from childhood into adulthood. And so we had this pathway forward that, it was ingrained in our culture and our way of being, that everybody was celebrated no matter what stage of life they were at. And I just don't see that anymore. And what I see here is, they're empowered to be themselves. And I think, your staff, your mentors, your guides here, they do an incredible job doing that. But it's also the wolves. Wolves come up to these kids and the wolves are like, hey, this is me, no apologies, no excuses. This is who I am. Who are you? And the kids say, God, I can just be myself. Really? And I'll be accepted. And that's an amazing thing for young people. They don't have that kind of thing in the world. And originally, I think that's what wolves taught us to do. They gave us those ceremonies for our young ones to bring them up and help them feel fully recognized and realized and complete and embraced by the people. And these wolves embrace these kids. And it's just amazing to watch.
I mean, these wolves have embraced both of you too. I've seen some magic just within the first few hours you guys were here and allowing that space for some of the ones that we were doing impromptu visits with. I mean, Ragnar was one. I mean, talk about allowing that open space for both of you to come into this new space, which will hopefully become a familiar space down the road for both of you, and just be accepted in that way.
Yeah. Well, what was really cool for me, and it's not all about me, but it is at the moment. Hey. What was really cool for me is being able to share our story about original man and his companion, Maingon Wolf, and how they walked the world together side by side for, a long time, being given the task of naming things by Creator, naming everything that they saw and came in contact with and experienced. And, they walked together for so long that they became brothers. And they were never to forget that. Wolves and human beings were never supposed to forget their familial relationship as brothers, even though they were told to go their separate ways by Creator. Well, I can't even remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but I was walking the land with a wolf by my side, and that was just transformational for me too. And that just blew my mind. I'm walking in the path of, one of our cultural heroes, with Wolf by my side. And here we are, just like it's another day in the park, It's so cool.
I mean, it's just, because we experience it all the time here at the sanctuary. And to welcome folks from outside the sanctuary and for them to drop in so quickly and to just feel that, what does it mean to translate that to folks who are here and who are maybe even listening or seeing or watching you and I have this conversation about how important it is to have that relationship, not just with the wolf, but with the land itself?
Well, as we've spoken before, we feel as though society in general is severely disconnected from the land and our original mother, our earth. And that disconnect has caused some of the mental health issues that we see nowadays. I think Carl Jung said, the thing that causes anxiety is the difference between what is and what should be. Well, what should be is that we should be walking in relationship with the natural world. But what is that we are so severely disconnected from our roots. The natural world is where we came from. And so the gap between what is and what should be is ever widening. And it seems like the wider it gets, the more societal dysfunction we have. That's what I see when I look around. So, when we came here, I felt, like I was in pretty good standing with wolves. I felt like I pretty much knew them, pretty well over the course of my almost 70 years now. I've nurtured a relationship with them that's ongoing. And to come here and, have a whole new page turned in that book where I have completely come to a place of understanding them on a new level, it's just eye-opening for me. I feel like this light has gone off, in my heart, and light bulb in the head too. I feel expanded by that light, and it's just incredible. I can't even describe the feeling. And the land here is so powerful. Again, I don't know really how to explain that, but as you know, there were people living here for tens of thousands of years before, Europeans came, and their spirits still speak, in these trees and in these rocks and in these hills. And if you can tune into that, if you can quiet yourself long enough to have that vibration wash over you like that, man, so this is a powerful place. And, having these wolf relatives here, just, exponentially powerful.
I never asked you, I think, in all our discussions, all our Zooms and conversations, even how you even came to find us. Because I know you and Tracy reached out via email, and that's when just everything came in motion. How did that even come to pass? I know you were looking for more outlets, but just tell me, because I don't think I've ever asked you that question. It's like how you guys found us.
Well, I heard it on the wind. And then this little bird came and sat on my shoulder and pooped. No, I've been looking for a way to join in with people who have similar feelings about and for wolves and understanding of wolves and conservation of wolves and education about wolves. I've been looking for an outlet, to send some of the energy to, for one thing, and also, to maybe share my own experiences with wolves and my end goal, for my uncle to give me this job, we've spoken of before, to get out there and educate people. I feel like now is the time that I got to do that because, I'm getting up there in age, I might look like a youngster, but holy. So I just figured the time has come, and Tracy's been extremely encouraging and supportive, in everything that I do to try to educate people, and not just about wolves, but wolves are the epitome, the essence of the natural world. They carry it in their hearts. I mean, it's all inside them. And they're our original teachers, and they were the ones who originally adopted us. So it's time for us to give back. I mean, I can imagine a time back in the day when, human hunters would shadow wolf packs and follow them around because they were efficient hunters. And I can imagine in my mind's eye and in my heart, I can see wolves and humans feeding at the same kills. So for me, that means they fed us. It's time for us to feed them, invite them back to the table, of our hearts and our homes, and feed them. And the way we feed them is by honoring them, revering them. We don't have to feed them, kibbles and bits or nothing like that. I'm not saying that, but, feed them from our spiritual wealth, whatever spiritual wealth we might have, whatever we can possibly emotionally, spiritually, and physically give back to them, I think is extremely important.
I think all that was so seamless with both of you in these 3 days. It just seemed whatever was coming up for both of you in these programs or in these interactions just was reciprocated so seamlessly. Why do you think that worked so well? You guys just dropped in so seamlessly. What were some of the lessons or the teachings you were giving with the kids that they resonated with?
Well, we believe that, it really wasn't our idea to come here. I just wanted to establish a connection with Wolf Connection. But we honestly felt like, the land was calling us and the wolves were calling us. We felt like this is something we needed to do. We felt like we had to do this. And the way the wolves have responded makes me think that, we're doing the right thing.
The Wolf Connection podcast is now sponsored by our new partner, Jacques-Marie Mage. This LA-based brand is known for their limited edition, handcrafted eyewear and luxury goods, but also for their stewardship program, which supports various nonprofits and individuals who are working to protect a future for wild wolves.
Like I've said before, nature is constantly reaching out to us. And wolves being, quote unquote, ambassadors of the natural world, I think they called to us. And when we got here, I think they recognized that, recognized our being here. Not saying it's all about us, but, we felt welcomed and embraced by them immediately, as well as by you and your whole staff and everybody here. It's been incredible. So I think that seamlessness was all of that and more. And, every time we're around them, and especially when they're all howling, like that, oh man, I just want to bawl like a little kid.
I mean, you had that experience today. You guys were up with the kids up on Chance's Rock, or you were in the medicine wheel too, and there was that reverb. I mean, just describe that to anybody who hasn't been here, of just hearing them all use their voice, their collective voice.
At that point, Lori kind of turned things over to us, and I think at that point I was relaying the story that I just mentioned about our original man and Mayan Gun walking the earth together, and what that meant to each of us, what that meant to humans and to them, and how that relationship evolved into the brotherhood, and how powerful that still is, and how they still remember it. And we have forgotten it. And I think it was at that point, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Looking at Tracy in the back. Yeah. It was probably around then.
But I think it was at that point, where we mentioned that they haven't forgotten it, and we're the ones who dropped the ball on that, and all of a sudden they just all went up howling. And Lori said, to get everybody quiet so we could just listen to the wolves. And so we just sat there. It was like a full couple of minutes. They were just going at it. And I just wanted to bawl. And I just thought, man, thank you. Thank you for welcoming us and acknowledging the fact that someone, some people still remember the story and our obligation to them.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too that you both do so beautifully is ceremony. And you talked about that just before, and how we're missing that as a society and a culture, to be ceremonially, in a community and celebrate and move through these things together. Even this morning when you gave sweetgrass, I mean, those things just feel like they're so simple and just a simple gesture that are just missing for us as humans, that if we do that maybe every day, we talk to people as humans every day, that we can just learn from each other and have such a better balance. Don't you think? I don't know.
Well, our words are power, they are a form of medicine in and of themselves. And, for us, our words come from here. Our word for truth is Debwewin, I said something like that. I'm forgetting this now, but it comes from the heart. Our words originate there, and then we reform them here to come out of our mouths. So the heart, the center of your being, is where those words come from. And that's why we have to be careful with them, because they're powerful. I think Bruce Lee said that, your words are powerful, and, they cast spells. That's why they call it spelling. And I remember that because Bruce Lee was one of my heroes. But, to be among them, and they are so unapologetically themselves.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they come into any situation, they're like, here I am, this is me. I don't care if you like it or not. This is who I am. You can put me in a cage, but you'll never confine me. You can kill me, but you'll never eliminate my spirit from this land. And, there's all those people and back home in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, who just want to kill them all, Even if you eliminate them from the landscape, they will be in your dreams. They will haunt you for the rest of your lives. Their spirits live on in every aspect of the natural world. Now, I'll tell you a brief story. I can't tell you the whole thing, but, I think I mentioned it when you were in Montana. But this one time I was up fasting in the park in Yellowstone, and I was putting in 4 days up on this knoll, on this hill over by Slough Creek. And, I checked in with the backcountry office, and they said, you can't go up there because it's right between a bear management area and a wolf management area. And I said, yeah, I know. That's kind of what I want. And he said, you can't bring food up there. And I said, yeah, I know. It's fasting. And they filled out the paperwork and they said, we're not responsible for what happens to you. And I'm like, all right, I get it. Just let me go. So I was up there, and on the third day, I was in this kind of a natural bowl up on top of this hill, and there was rocks all around. And on that third day, I was feeling the weight of all the stones in my heart. I was just, I was physically getting depleted more and more. I had one more day to go. I was really like dragging my butt. I felt like I was going to expire, honestly. And I was thinking about all the weight of all these things that I carried all my life. And, here just a year or two before that, we helped bring the wolves back into the park with ceremony. And I was fulfilling that obligation as someone who has adopted wolves. Or anybody, we teach them our ceremonies. We teach them our songs because they taught us how to sing. It's giving back. So I was up there in that little hollow, and I started singing. I picked up my drum, started singing. And I don't have a good voice either, so, people were just running in different directions. All the animals or birds were flying off and stuff. And no, just kidding. But I finished singing, and then I just dropped because I was so exhausted, and I was leaning against this rock, and I heard wolves howling. And they seemed like they were right close by. And I stood up and I looked around, and I didn't see any wolves. Sat back down, and I'm hearing wolves howling again. I got up again, and I'm like looking around, and I don't see any wolves. And I said, you guys are playing tricks on me. So I sat back down. Another time that happened, I sat back down again. And the fourth time, I just kind of leaned my head back against the rock and turned my head and turned my ear, was laying against the rock. And here they started howling again, only the howling was coming from inside the rock. Their voices are everywhere. Their ancestral voices are everywhere. And no matter what people do to them, they are never going to be rid of wolves. Even if they kill off the last Indians too, they will never be rid of us because we walk this land. Our spirits walk this land. Our ancestors are here and are never going anywhere. So, for me, being out on the landscape, I listen for the howl of wolves, even if I know they may not even be around. They're there. They follow us everywhere because we're brothers. Yeah. That's just the way it is.
It comes from within. I mean, I want to ask you, what are you taking from these 3 days, just from being on this land with this pack, both human and wolf?
The first word that comes to my mind is new family. I have new family here. I know that these wolves are my family now. I feel like they've taken us in as their own. Like we've said many times, there's no orphans in Indian country. So they probably saw us as coming from someplace away from our homes. Say, we're going to take you guys in. So, you're part of our family now. And you guys as well, which means, if you guys show up at our door, we got to feed you. And vice versa.
That's right.
But you have fed us, not in food, but in spirit, and in energy, and in your, with the full hearts that you guys carry for these wolves in this place. You have fed us, and we have fattened up on it big time. And we're going to go home, expanded. And we're going to go home and try to incorporate all the kinds of stuff that we've learned with our two-legged friends and family now, and as well as with these guys, these four-leggeds here. Take that back and jump back into the fray.
I mean, you said it so beautifully. It's just you two are part of us now. And it couldn't have been any better to have both of you on the land, to be able to experience these packs, human and wolf, and experience all the things you guys have experienced in such a short time. I didn't ask you back in Montana, but I'll ask you now. When you hear the word wolf, what's the thing that comes to your mind?
The word that always comes to me is family. Always. They were our first family when we were very young human beings, new to this planet. They were our first brother, our first mentor, our first guides, our pathfinders. They led the way. They broke ground for us. They taught us when to hunt and where to hunt, and how to feed our families, how to take care of our families. They taught us how to set up our clan systems. They taught us fidelity to our families, how to care for those who are in need, how to look out for each other. They taught us some of our ceremonies, and they were the first ones to give us voice by teaching us theirs, by using their voice. Anything that we have as human beings that we like about ourselves comes from wolves. You know, they're the ones who gave us our humanity, and they're the ones who can restore our humanity too. If we just open up. And you got to listen with your heart, you know, because your head will mess with you, but your heart's always going to be true to you. So if we can open up our hearts and listen to them, we will regain our humanity. The humanity that we are really busy losing right now. So we need to get it back. And the way back is through the natural world and through these wolves.
And the community that we're starting. And the community that we have started to form with you two and the others we met in Montana. John Potter, Miigwech.
Look at you. Look at you rocking your Ojibwe like that.
I try to put it, you know, I wanted to say it, you know, with respect and correctly to you and to Tracy, but you've truly opened us up and expanded us, and so grateful for both of you to be here.
Pichigong Miigwech Nikan. Pichigong Miigwech Bizendawiag. You know, thank you very much for listening, and for everybody out there in TV land or radio land or YouTube land, wherever you are. Pichigong Miigwech. Thanks for tuning in. Oh.
Yeah. We will have more to come with John Potter. How's Teal out there? We'll be with you next time. Bye, everybody.
Looking for more information about Wolf Connection or the podcast? Visit our website at wolfconnection.org, where you can donate, sponsor a wolf, or become a volunteer. Thank you for listening.